Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alexey, and today I have a special guest, Claudio Rodriguez. Claudio is a producer, mixing and master engineer who has been working with such great metal bands as Illumishade, Fall of Mankind, One Day Remains, Infinitas, Adrienne Cowan of Seven Spires, and many more. It's a huge honor to have you on my YouTube channel today, Claudio. And let's start our interview. How you became a sound engineer?
To put it simply, I'm always was interested in music. My father was a flamenco guitarist, so I grew up surrounded by it, and I think that where my first fascination with music started. And then I picked up my a guitar by myself and played day and night. Then next, when I was around 15 years old, I worked in a music store, which allowed me to learn a lot, make many connections. And then I was asked to join a metal band as a lead guitarist, and where I was able to do smaller tours early on in Europe. And, as a guitarist, I liked music like Metallica, Dream Theater, Megadeth, but also bands like Creed, Alter Bridge, Nickelback are bands I like a lot. And I was trying to go in that direction myself. And I was always looking what gear was used and who produced and mixed the music. And I remember I bought a lot of CDs, and I like to look at the booklet inside to see who did what. And I noticed that a lot of what I liked was mixed by Randy Staub, including his Metallica Black album, and this was a huge influence on me. Then I quickly realized that's my passion.
How you started recording, mixing and mastering metal?
The music that influenced me was a starting point of this career. I began by recording local bands and my own project. I have to say, I really liked the production from Randy Staub, and I was trying to copy them as close as possible. And I spent a lot of time by my own, try and figure it out how to get the sound. Because back then I had not so much YouTube or content like today. I speak like 25 years ago. And but the real turning point came when I contacted my mentor. He's Tommy Fetterly, the guitarist and producer from Coroner. For me, it was great to have such a great guitarist and producer here in Switzerland. And one day I reached out to him and asked him if I could be part of his team and his studio. And he made it happen. And he gave me his room in the Studio B. And also I could help him one day recording Eluveitie, where I learned a lot, and I still learn a lot from Tommy. He's a great guy, and I'm happy to have him as a good friend. And but I don't master by myself. I give all my mixes out, and this is a guy named Dan Sutter from the Echo Chambers, also here in Switzerland.
How you started working with Fall of Mankind?
The collaboration with Fall of Mankind began directly also because of Tommy. Tommy Fetterly, he heard their demos and felt that I was the right mixer for their sound. So he recommended me to the band. I already knew Ola and Rafi from my work on the Eluveitie recordings. So they reached out to me, and we immediately had a great connection. We started a great collaboration, and I'm excited to work with such talented musicians.
How guitar tone was created for Fall of Mankind, Portent In The Dark song?
Of course, Rafi is an excellent guitarist, and he gave me the freedom to reamp his DI tracks. I don't know if you can see it. I work exclusively with real tube amps and cabinets. And on Portent, I ended up choosing a Diesel VH4 with the Mesa Boogie 4x12 from the 2001. It's like the golden eras, 2000, 2001. And I used an Unidyne SM57 III, not the normal Shure SM57, the Unidyne, with the Ribbon SE Electronic VR2 and MD421N, a vintage one. I blend these three microphones together so that only one signal is recorded into Pro Tools. I don't like having multiple mic tracks in my sessions. That was the recording part for that sound. Mixing wise, I didn't have to do much on the direct signal. It was a really good recording and really good guitar sound from Ruffy itself. I use a SSL channel to shape a bit the sound. And what I do a lot is I work a lot on the low mid frequencies. That's the fundamental of the guitar, but not with an EQ. It's more, I enhance that with a harmonic enhancer. In this case, it was the Spectre from Waves Factory. And then you can choose between tape or solid state, and then can you boost this harmonic content to the guitars.
What tips can you give on mixing metal guitars to make them sound great in the mix?
That's a great question. For me, the most important thing is not to over EQ guitars. I believe heavy guitars should be recorded well and not fixed after that in the mix so much. For that, it's crucial to have the right setup, but the right instrument tuned well, and the most important, the right guitarist, the right player. When you have this thing right, everything in the mix is easier and you can focus more on the levels. But I like to automate different sections to make space for other instruments or capture or enhance some performances from the guitarist and bring them out through the speakers with some automation moves by myself. It's like, going with the guitarist, with his playing. That gives more life to the song, in my opinion. And if I go more deeper, of course, I have a lot more going on some metal guitars. I don't like only the dry guitar signal. I use like a short slap delay, for example, a PCM 42, and then flip the panning. It's like one side, 60 milliseconds, and the other side 70 milliseconds, and then I flip the panning. And I blend that in to taste, not so much, but it gives some 3D on the guitars. I do that, and I also give the guitars a little room with a room plugin, like a PCM 70 I have here, and a widener also with, I love to widening the guitars, but all with the aux track in parallel. I don't like to touch the main guitar signal too much. I do more in parallel. In parallel, you can also do some creative stuff to put a fuzz pedal in and give him some sparkle, or do a preamp distortion and blend it a bit in and play. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
What was your approach on mixing drums for Fall of Mankind, Portent In The Dark song?
Yeah, I love drums. I love drums a lot. I can play them, but I like drum sounds. And with a great drummer like Ola, it's a lot easier. He has so much detail in his playing. It's incredible. I always start with drums. I spend the most time on the drums. I like them really much. I also use samples to reinforce the drums, but I can't say that I ever use the same sample on every song, because every song, every drummer, every drum kit is different. So I spend a lot of time on searching the right sound that fits the song well. To go a bit deeper into the mix of Portent in the Dark, it's basically also a lot of SSL channel EQ, a lot of harmonics, saturation. I like the Electrodyne EQ. That's one of my favorite. The Matrix Halo channel strip EQ is one of my favorite. The rest is all mostly standard stuff, like parallel compression. On this song, I used the Vertigo VSC2. Sometimes I use the API or the Neve 33609, but on this was the Vertigo. On my drum bass, I use an Overstayer MAS with all the EQ buttons engaged. And this gives some harmonics, an EQ, and a great starting point for my drums. Yeah, I could talk every day about drums, but to mention a few other details, I use for my snare reverb, I use an old SPX 90 from the 80s. And also for my tom, I had another one like the SPX 2. I used that for my toms, and yeah, that's a great reverb too. It's like with the 8-bit converter, and I like room sounds on drums. I automate them with some fills from the drummer, or I like also to distort the drum. Yeah, you can do a lot with transients and drumming, and yeah, we can talk the whole day about it. Because important in the dark is there were basically two different drum sounds. In the verse and in the chorus, the chorus is more poppier, more opener, and the verse is heavy and punchy and aggressive. And there were two different drum sounds there. So in my mix, I like to have these different transitions and different emotions through my mixing. So in this part, there was two drum sounds.
What is your approach on mixing Adrienne Cowan's extreme vocals for Fall of Mankind, Portent in the Dark song?
Yeah, working with Adrienne was a huge honor and a great pleasure. She was in my studio for about a week, and she's a great person. Her vocal was massive, not only because of her performance, but also because all of the emotions were in the right place from the beginning. I had so much fun placing her in front of everything in the mix because she fitted so well in every section. She's truly one of the best singers I heard or I mixed. Mixing wise, for her clean vocals, I used also here a Matrix Halo channel strip into my hardware compressor Retro 176. And for the extreme vocals, I used a different compressor here, my LA2A, the hardware. After that, I used a lot of dynamic EQing. It really depends on the words or syllables she sings. I automate the EQ to match her performance. That's really crucial for vocals. Vocals are really dynamic, so you have to do a lot of automations there. Then I use different types of reverbs, like Also a bit of PCM 70 or my Seventh Heaven from Liquid Sonic. That's a great tool. And for specific words or parts in the song, I use from my template some audio throws. I put the vocals there, where I use different effects to give them space and some sense of movement in the mix.
And in this case, what are your tips on recording extreme vocals, and also what kind of settings do you use on compressor for recording extreme vocals?
Yeah, for extreme vocals, it depends sometimes. I use like your microphone, the SM7B from Shure. I use this mic a lot with 1073 preamp. And yeah, it depends. Sometimes I use also U47, depending on the vocalist. But my favorite is the Shure SM7B. And I compress a bit in the recording side. Some with I use the Chandler TG1. I have here like a limit mode and a fast mode with the fastest mode, recovery mode. And that gives me some punch for the right compression to start when I record some extreme vocals. After that, I use different kind of, sometimes an RVox and a standard CLA 76, the bluey one with a fast attack, slow attack, fast release. But yeah, sometimes I use the attack on the middle, not on the slowest settings. Yeah, it really depends, because sometimes if you compress it too much, then it gets a bit harsh at sometimes, and I don't like to cut a lot after that. So it's more finding the right balance between a compression and to automate the vocals through the song. I do a lot of automation there too. And I like to enhance the harmonics of the extreme vocals too. Sometimes with the Decapitator or Saturn or whatever tool. I use also this red pedal as a plugin, but in parallel, and I blend it. Sometimes more, sometimes a bit less. Yeah, that's my approach on getting these extreme vocals cut through the song. And in this case also, yeah, sometimes I use a bit of Soot too. But it's really careful.
What is your opinion on sidechaining everything in metal mixes? So in this case, how do you use sidechaining in metal mixes?
Yeah, well, I like the idea of sidechaining, but I don't use it on everything. I mostly use it on the kick and bass, and sometimes for vocals to create space against the guitars or synthesizers. The key for me is that I don't use compression for sidechaining. I use frequencies. I dock certain frequencies, and I feel that it fits a bit better into my mixing style. For example, for the kick I use, for the kick and bass, I use Soot 2 on the bass, to dock the lower frequency when the kick hits hard. And for the vocal, I use this, track spacer, but also there's a frequency docker, if I can call it like that. But I'm very careful with it because it can be dangerous. I always start the mix without the sidechaining. And when I feel, sometimes you make the vocals too loud and it's not fitting right in the mix, then I try to engage the sidechaining.
What tips can you give on mixing metal bass?
Bass is a unique challenge in a dance mix. Sometimes a bass sounds like a guitar, but with a bit more low end. That's in metal. It's really crucial to have the right harmonics and the right fundamental on the bass with harmonics, or in my case, I split the bass into the low frequency and the high frequency. Sometimes I do low frequency, mid frequency, and high frequency because I want to do on the high frequency some kind of chorus effect or something. And then I sidechain only the bass of the bass, also the low end of the bass, and not the whole bass. Or mainly I use DI signals for mixing. Not so much amp signals. I use the DI and then tweak it from there. Mostly now I use this Ashdown by Mixwave. That's my new favorite for bass. And also, if needs to be heavier, then I use the standard, the Parallax from Neural DSP. Or now it came a new one I liked a lot from Audiopunks, this Sense Amp emulation. I like that a lot too. But my favorite now is the Ashdown from Mixwave. And then I compress it and tweak it with the Waves MV2. Softtube has a summit limiter. I like it a lot. It's like some leveler. And for the harmonics, I use FabFilter or also R-Bass sometimes. And what I always do on the bass side or on the sub side, I program a sub bass. Only the crucial frequencies. So I have a sub during the whole mix or song, and above that I have the kick and the bass, so I can make the bass and the bass drum tighter, and so I have a consistent low end during my mixing, and because I don't like to boost a lot of low end frequencies on every instrument. That gets a bit messy sometimes. So with this sub track, I can mix it punchier, and I don't worry about my consistency in the mix.
Can you please tell me about your work on Illumishade Ecliptic Wake of the Shadows album?
It was some time ago. It's a long time ago. My work on Illumishade's album, that was a great experience and a great collaboration that continues to this day. We are all good friends there, and the whole band is full of brilliant musicians. And I have to say, the guitarist Jonas is one of my best friends and always a huge inspiration to me. It's easy for me to record his guitar. He's such a great guitarist. And on this album I recorded the guitars and the bass, if I remember correctly, and the rest, and Tommy Fetterly handled the rest of the songs, and I mixed the entire record. It was a bit of a challenge because this symphonic style or progressive side of metal music, which was a new challenge for me at the time. I had to deal with mostly more than 300 tracks and mix them to one stereo master. But it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I like to work with Illumishade. And to go a bit deeper, for the guitar tone, we used Mesa Boogie Triple Crown on one side and a modded Marshall on the other side. But as I mentioned, it's crucial to have the right guitarist, and Jonas is one of the best guitarists I know. So it was really easy to get the right recordings with him. My approach on that album was creating a powerful sound that brings the emotions through. The vocals were the emotional core of the album, in my opinion. So my goal was to keep them pristine and powerful in the mix, and the drum and bass guitars like a metal foundation. And this combined sometimes well, sometimes, it's a bit difficult, but in this case, it was my goal. And I think it came really, really good. And, I don't remember all the details from the mixing, but like I mentioned, I spend a lot of times on the drums to fit the song right. I also use a lot of automation between different sections here too, especially on World's End. It was a song like from heavy to pop to, there was a lot of twists in the song that was sometimes like mixing 3 songs at the time. But for me, it's always important to bring the emotion through the song. And mixing is really important for that part of the process.
What is your approach on mixing songs for the album?
It depends on the bands, because every band has our days there came with song by song and release song by song. In case of Illumishade, it's more an album. We produce from start to the end. And for Fall of Mankind, we have song by song because of different ideas or different approaches in their bands. And I prefer obviously to mix a whole album, so it's more consistent, because when I mix this year this year mix some songs, next year I change maybe some styles or some approaches in my template or in my gear or whatever, and then it's always a bit different. I like to mix an entire album in one piece, and it's for me, I'm more in with the band, and it's more unique for me, because it's important the emotions for every song. And then when you are in the mixing process, then you can go deeper in if you have one piece of one album at a time. If you have to reconnect every time the new song comes, it's sometimes a bit difficult reconnect to the song when it was made back then.
Thank you so much, Claudio, for such a wonderful interview. It was a huge honor talking to you, and it was super knowledgeable interview. I learned a lot of new stuff from you, from talking to you, and I really like all of your mixes, because I have listened to your work with Infinitas, Fall of Mankind, and Illumishade, and all of your mixes are super dope and super sick, and I wish you all the success in the world, and you are super great mixer. You are super great mixer, and you are super great guy. And in this case, I wish you all the best in this case.
That I wish you too, and thanks for having me. And thanks for taking the time to interview me too. Thanks a lot.